Have you ever struggled to open a jar, even after trying everything from hot water to banging it on the counter? In our daily lives, canned and jarred foods are incredibly convenient, whether it's fruit, vegetables, sauces, or spices. But opening those tightly sealed lids, that can be a real hassle, especially if your hands aren't as strong as they used to be. Today, I want to show you a simple trick using just a wooden stick or chopstick. It's easy, quick, and surprisingly effective. No special tools needed. Let's make opening jars effortless again. Ready to see how it works? The first method. For jars that aren't too big and have a body you can get a good grip on, you can actually use a bit of momentum to help loosen the lid by simply tapping the bottom of the jar. It's super easy. Just use the palm of your hand to gently tap the bottom of the jar, about 5 to 10 times. What this does is create a temporary pressure shift that can help break the vacuum seal between the lid and the jar. Once that seal is broken, the lid won't cling as tightly and it becomes much easier to twist open. After tapping, go ahead and try unscrewing the lid. You'll probably notice it comes off much more easily. But here's a tip. Don't hit the jar too hard that could hurt your hand or even crack the jar, especially if it's made of thin glass. A gentle, firm tap is all it takes to do the trick. Simple, right? With just a few easy taps, you can open even a stubborn jar. It saves time, it's convenient, and best of all, anyone can do it, even on the very first try. Method 2. First, prepare a piece of plastic wrap. Then fold it into 3-4 layers until it's thick enough. Place the wrap over the lid so that it completely covers the surface. The plastic wrap increases the grip between your hand and the lid, reducing slippage, which is often the reason why the lid won't open, no matter how much force you use. Now, grip the lid tightly and twist it as you normally would. You'll notice it opens much more easily than before. In addition to plastic wrap, you can also use a thin cloth, rubber gloves, an elastic band, or any other item that can increase friction to apply this method. However, this technique still requires a bit of hand strength, so it may not be ideal for those with weaker grip, especially some women. But don't worry, there are still simpler and more effective methods coming up next. Next, I will share the third method. Did you know that most jar lids have a small mechanism that's not easily noticeable when viewed directly from above? But if you tilt the jar to one side, you'll often see a few indented spots on the lid, and those are the weak points you can take advantage of. Here's how to do it. Use a moderately pointed object, such as a flathead screwdriver, scissors, or a stainless steel spoon, and place it right at the dented area. Tilt the tool slightly outward and gently pry upward. If done correctly, you'll hear a soft popping sound. That's the air rushing into the jar. Once you hear that sound, just twist the lid gently. It will come off easily without needing much force. The whole process takes less than 10 seconds. The principle behind this method is simple. Sealed jars stay tightly closed due to a vacuum created by a difference in air pressure. The pressure inside is lower than outside. By prying the lid slightly, you let air in, equalizing the pressure. As a result, the vacuum is broken and the lid is no longer tightly sealed, making it easy to open by hand. This is one of the most common and practical methods in everyday life. Many people have used it, and we've tested it ourselves multiple times, with great success every time. What about you? Have you tried this method before? Let me know in the comments below. If you've tried everything and the jar lid still won't open, try this tip 4. First, get a deep bowl or dish and place the jar in the center. Then, carefully pour boiling water into the bowl just enough to cover the lid, but not so much that it touches the glass body or the rim of the jar. Let it sit for about a minute to allow the heat to do its job. The heat will cause the metal lid to expand slightly. After a minute, take the jar out and dry it off completely, especially the lid and the sides, using a paper towel or cloth. This helps you get a better grip and prevents slipping. Now, give the lid a twist. You'll likely find it opens up much more easily, and without needing much strength. Why does this work? Because when the metal lid heats up, it expands a bit, while the glass jar underneath stays the same size, since it wasn't directly in contact with the heat. That tiny difference loosens the seal, making it easier to open. If you don't want to use boiling water, a hairdryer or even a lighter aimed at the lid can work too. Same idea. Just be careful when working with hot water or heat sources to avoid burns. And always make sure the jar is dry before you try to open it, for both safety and better grip. Method 5 is for those times when you've used all your strength and the lid still won't budge. Chances are, the problem lies in the vacuum seal inside the jar. When that happens, try this simple trick. All you need is a sturdy piece of string, like one from a gift box or a drawstring, and a small stick or wooden skewer. Start by tying the string with a first knot. Then add a second knot to secure it. Pull both ends to tighten the knots firmly. Next, place the string around the lid. Drag it to one side so that there's a small gap between the string and the lid surface. Now, insert the stick into that gap and twist it gently. Continue turning until the string wraps tightly around the lid. Once secure, rotate the stick in the direction to open the lid. The leverage created will help you overcome the vacuum seal in just a few seconds. This method requires very little strength, making it perfect for people with weak grip. It's especially effective for jars sealed tightly using vacuum pressure after sterilization. This is one of the smartest, safest, and easiest ways to open a stubborn lid, especially when all other methods have failed. In fact, most food jars are sterilized at high temperatures, then sealed tight using the principles of heat expansion and cooling contraction. When heated, the air inside expands, and as it cools down, the air contracts, creating a vacuum seal. That's what causes the lid to stick so tightly and makes it hard to open. To open the jar, you need to break that vacuum seal. I've shared several ways to do that: tapping the bottom, increasing grip, using a sharp object to let in air, heating the lid to make it expand, or using leverage with a bamboo stick. Have you remembered all the methods I've shared? Be sure to save them so you can use them whenever you need. These tricks really do come in handy. And if you have your own clever tip for opening tight jars, or if you'd like to share your thoughts, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and feel free to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on more useful tips in the future. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.